Hey warriors, welcome back to the channel. I watched my closest friend fall apart trying to be the good guy. He gave it all, forgave everyone, and traded his peace for people who barely remembered his name. 3 years later, I saw him again. He wasn't shattered anymore. He was cold, focused, unshakable, and he told me something I'll never forget. He said, "The world didn't shift. I did. I stopped being easy to break." That line stuck with me because deep down, I knew it wasn't just his truth. It was mine, and it's yours too. Right now, there are two versions of you. Version one, the one that explains, apologizes, endures, and keeps wishing people will change. You twist yourself into knots to be heard, respected, loved. But the more you offer, the less they value you. Then there's version two, the quiet one, the solid one, the one that doesn't plead, doesn't chase, doesn't explain. They just walk away, without noise, without guilt. You've been stuck as version one for too long, and it's draining you. It's made you soft where you needed strength, kind where you needed clarity. Machiavelli once said, "It's better to be feared than loved if you can't be both." And he wasn't praising cruelty. He was talking about control, about knowing when it's time to stop being the one who always breaks for others. Today, I'm going to help you awaken version two, the relentless version of you, the one Machiavelli spoke of, the one people notice but can't influence. There are 8 shifts that separate these two versions. Each one will cost you a piece of who you were. Each one will feel like setting fire to your old identity. But if you stay with me till the end, you'll walk away completely transformed. You'll stop chasing peace from others and start building it from within. You're about to learn the strength of becoming untouchable because this world will crush you unless you learn how to become ruthless. But before we dive in, I want you to drop this in the comments. I will not break again. Number 1. Stop giving yourself to the ungrateful. The first step toward becoming ruthless happens when you realize this simple truth. Your greatest weakness was never your heart, it was where you put it. You've been pouring energy into people who feed on your light, but never reflect any of it back. You kept helping. You kept forgiving. You kept explaining yourself, hoping, just hoping, that one day they'd finally see your value. But they never do. Why? Because in the psychology of power, what is given freely is quietly seen as worthless. People instinctively link generosity with weakness. If you offer too much without demand, they assume it's because you're desperate to be accepted. And the moment someone picks up on that need, they own you. That's where weakness starts. Not in failure, but in emotional dependence that hides behind the mask of kindness. Machiavelli once said, "Men are quicker to offend the one who is loved than the one who is feared." Why? Because the ungrateful take advantage of your kindness precisely because they don't fear losing it. They know you'll stick around. They know you'll forgive. They know that no matter how they treat you, you'll justify it with lines like, "They're just going through something." But that's not compassion. That's self-deception. The harsh truth is, people remember pain, not kindness. They respect boundaries, not explanations. The more you show mercy without standards, the more invisible you become. Every time you accepted disrespect, you train them to view you as expendable. Every time you explained your value, you proved that it still needed to be justified. That's the hidden psychology behind why the good ones get broken first. The world doesn't ruin you because you're kind. It ruins you because you mistake kindness for harmlessness. The ungrateful, they're predators in disguise. They don't come for your body. They hunt your guilt. They twist things so you feel guilty for protecting yourself. They turn your empathy into a weapon and pierce you with it. So stop believing you owe anyone your loyalty just because you once cared. Your care is a privilege, not a given. Reserve it only for those who have proven themselves through steady respect. Everyone else should feel the sting of your absence. Detachment is your armor. Indifference is your payback. Machiavelli grasped this truth when he said, "Men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, and greedy." He warned you, never entrust power to the ungrateful because they will use it to weaken you. You must shed the myth that being good will protect you. Goodness without limits is a death sentence. Ruthlessness is not cruelty, it's correction. It's the moment you stop rewarding betrayal with your presence, when you stop answering every call, forgiving every lie, explaining your silence, the ungrateful start to panic. They realize they can no longer feed off your emotional reactions. That's when control shifts. You become the one who decides who gets your attention and who fades into oblivion. The world belongs to those who guard their energy like a weapon, not to those who squander it like a wish. Every ounce of strength you pour into the wrong people is power stolen from your future. Pull it back, save it, rebuild it. Let them wonder what happened to your warmth. Tell them it froze the moment you finally saw the truth. Some people deserve your distance more than your devotion. Now drop this affirmation in the comments. 1. My kindness has boundaries. 2. I turn pain into power. Pain is the purest teacher because it never lies. It doesn't inflate your ego. It doesn't tolerate excuses. It exposes you, strips you bare, burns away everything weak until only the real you remains. The difference between the broken and the powerful isn't how much pain they've endured. It's what they chose to do with it. The weak drown in pain because they chase fairness. They believe the world owes them healing. But the ruthless understand the truth. Pain is currency. You either spend it building yourself up or waste it by complaining. Those who rise from the ashes aren't lucky, they're strategic. They confront betrayal, heartbreak, and failure. And instead of asking, "Why me?" they ask, "What is this showing me about control?" Machiavelli once said, "Never miss the chance presented by a good crisis." Every moment of pain is a chance to transform into someone untouchable. Pain is not punishment. It's a message. It points out exactly where your weakness resides. Every betrayal reveals who you trusted too quickly. Every rejection uncovers where you placed your value. Every loss exposes the illusion of permanence. When you start viewing pain through that perspective, it stops being a wound and becomes a weapon. You use it to sharpen your mind rather than break it. The dark psychology of change lies in converting suffering into strategy. Most people cry to feel relief. The strong reflect to grow stronger. When they're hurt, they don't seek closure. They build power. They study their enemies instead of resenting them. They analyze their errors instead of avoiding them. They turn every heartbreak into emotional discipline, every disappointment into focus. That's the essence of Machiavellian resilience, using the world's cruelty as fuel, not chains. Pain is the forge where strength is forged. When life breaks you, it reveals who you truly are beneath the mask. Stop running from it. Sit with it. Embrace every ounce of the fire. Because once you survive your own suffering, no one else can control you through fear. The moment you stop fearing pain, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability is power. When others try to manipulate you with guilt or rejection, it no longer works because you've already faced worse and survived. Machiavelli believed a wise man learns more from hardship than from comfort. That's because pain activates awareness. It forces growth. It silences illusion. You start seeing people for who they really are, not who you wish they'd be. You start choosing logic over emotion. The more you withstand, the less reactive you become. You move like someone who's already faced the fire and survived. That energy demands respect because it's formidable. People sense it the moment you enter a room. the presence of someone who has transformed every wound into wisdom. You no longer bear scars with shame. You wear them as armor. Your silence grows weighty. Your gaze remains unwavering. That's when you realize you've shifted from being molded by pain to shaping others through it. The next time life strikes you, don't curse it. Study it. Ask yourself, what advantage lies hidden here? Because every moment of suffering holds a seed of power if you're relentless enough to harness it. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My pain fuels my strength. Number 3, eliminate the need to be understood. The craving to be understood is the snare that keeps powerful minds trapped in mediocrity. You keep explaining yourself, hoping others will recognize your intentions, your kindness, your truth. But here's the harsh truth. Most don't bother to understand you. They only seek to label you. They don't listen to grasp meaning. They listen to find flaws. The more you explain, the more ammunition you provide them to use against you. In dark psychology, understanding equals control. When people know your motives, they know how to manipulate you. That's why the ruthless remain silent. They let others guess, project, assume, and in that ambiguity, they stay untouchable. Machiavelli once said, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command, and to command you must never over-explain, because explaining is a defensive move. It reveals that you still crave validation. Power doesn't justify itself. It simply exists." The most intimidating people are those who don't explain why they act, feel, or vanish. Their silence generates tension. That tension breeds respect. The weak plead to be noticed. The strong choose to be misunderstood. Number 4, detach. Don't plead. Pleading for attention, love, or closure is how the powerful become enslaved. The more you pursue what's leaving, the smaller you appear in the eyes of those who never meant to value you. Detachment isn't coldness. It's control. It's the art of walking away from anything that threatens your self-worth, no matter how much you desired it. Many confuse attachment with loyalty, but they're worlds apart. Loyalty is strength. Attachment is dependence. Society has trained you to believe that fighting for people proves your care. But in dark psychology, the one who chases always loses influence. The act of pleading, whether for time, affection, or attention, signals weakness, and weakness invites exploitation. Machiavelli once said, "He who is not master of himself cannot be master of others." When your emotions govern you, you become easy to manipulate. The ruthless detach not because they lack feeling, but because they refuse to be owned by it. When someone pulls away, they don't argue or justify, they observe. When someone disrespects them, they don't beg, they disappear. Silence becomes their weapon, and absence becomes their statement. In a world fueled by emotional manipulation, detachment is the ultimate act of defiance. It terrifies manipulators because it cuts off their power source, your reaction. Once you stop reacting, you become unreadable. And when you're unreadable, you become feared. The secret weapon of the powerful isn't anger, it's indifference. Indifference burns colder than hatred and lasts longer than love. When people can no longer predict your response, they lose control over your mind. That's when your energy starts to shift. You stop being the one who waits and start being the one who chooses. Those who once ignored you begin to notice your silence. Because silence from someone who was once reactive is louder than any confrontation. Detachment grants you a unique kind of authority. The authority to walk away from chaos with your peace preserved. Machiavelli believed that mastery over one's emotions was the cornerstone of every successful leader, because those who cannot detach are destined to be controlled by those who can. He said humans are driven by two primary impulses, either love or fear. If you learn to master your attachments, you will govern both. The ruthless recognize that not everyone deserves entry, not every feeling warrants expression, and not every bond merits revival. You must learn to withdraw your energy silently, to close doors quietly, and to let your absence feel like consequence. That's psychological warfare in its most refined form. The more you detach, the more power you reclaim. You come to understand that peace isn't found in connection, it's found in control. True strength is loving someone deeply, yet walking away the moment they threaten your self-worth. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means prioritizing self-respect. Because when you stop pleading, you stop bleeding. And when you stop bleeding, no one can drain you again. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose peace over people. Number 5, boundaries are your armor. Boundaries are the invisible barriers that separate strength from chaos. Without them, your life becomes an open field where anyone can enter, take what they want, and leave you depleted. You've been taught that saying no is selfish, that setting limits is unkind. But the truth is, lacking boundaries is self-betrayal. Every time you accept disrespect, forgive without consequence, or allow people to cross your lines to maintain peace, you give away pieces of yourself. The weak mistake tolerance for strength. The ruthless know better. They understand that a heart without armor is a target. Machiavelli once wrote, "A prince who is not wise cannot be well advised." What he meant was simple. If you cannot protect yourself, no one else will. The world doesn't honor openness. It exploits it. Those who smile at your kindness today will use your forgiveness tomorrow. That's the nature of unchecked human desire. People always test the limits you refuse to enforce. Boundaries aren't walls to keep others out. They are gates protecting what's sacred within you. They are not cruelty, they are clarity. And clarity terrifies manipulators because it strips away their leverage. In dark psychology, boundaries are weapons of control. The person who enforces them sets the terms of every relationship. When you say no calmly and without guilt, you communicate dominance. When you cut off access after betrayal, you declare that your worth is non-negotiable. The powerful don't argue over respect. They show it through distance. Forgiveness without consequences is submission. Mercy without boundaries invites chaos. The moment you stop rewarding bad behavior with your presence, you start commanding silence from those who once disrespected you. The fearful will call it arrogance. The weak will brand it ego, but the wise recognize it as self-command. Machiavelli also said, "He who allows himself to be deceived deserves deception." You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. The moment you protect your space like a fortress, parasites disappear, noise diminishes, and your peace returns. That's when you finally see who truly values you. Those who respect your boundaries instead of resenting them. Boundaries attract quality and repel corruption. They separate the loyal from the opportunistic, the genuine from the manipulative. They make your presence earned, not given. To live without boundaries is to live without dignity. To live with them is to rule your world with quiet authority. The ruthless know that kindness without defense invites destruction. So they build walls not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Because the goal isn't to be liked, it's to be respected. Remember, every boundary you set is a declaration. This is where my peace begins. And those who truly value you will never ask you to lower your guard. They will stand outside it with honor. Now drop this affirmation in the comments. My boundaries protect me. Number 6, master the art of silence. Silence is the weapon the powerful wield when words lose their meaning. Most people fear silence because it exposes their lack of control. They fill the air with talk to prove confidence, to seek validation through noise. But every unnecessary word you utter becomes ammunition for someone else's manipulation. The wise understand that in a world addicted to chatter, silence is dominance. Machiavelli once wrote, "Never reveal all your thoughts, for it makes you predictable and vulnerable." The moment people can read your emotions, they can anticipate your reactions, and the one who predicts can control you. Silence renders you unreadable. It creates an aura of mystery that forces others to second-guess themselves. The quiet person in the room always holds more power than the one shouting for attention. In dark psychology, silence is not emptiness. It's strategy. It shifts control without confrontation. When you say nothing, you let others expose everything. They reveal their insecurities, motives, and weaknesses while trying to figure you out. The ruthless exploit this to their advantage. They listen more than they speak, observe more than they explain, and act more than they promise. The weak rush to prove their point. The strong wait for the perfect moment to strike. Every pause you hold in conversation raises your authority. Every time you let others fill the silence, they unwittingly give away information.